Welcome to a holiday cast edition of the Talk Cardboard podcast, a podcast about board games and everything adjacent, with me, Elaine, and you.
Me, Efka. As you might have heard, we're on holiday, and to make up for lost time, we're recording little episodes of Talk Cardboard where we just do some audience correspondence and then talk about one game. Today's game is going to be Colony Bloodbath by Donald X. Vaccarino. What a title, what a game. We'll talk about it in a bit, but first, Elaine, please audience correspond us.
We had an email from Roger who has asked if we can put in the ID3 tags on the podcast because they're not very useful at the moment. The answer to that is we didn't even realise that they had changed.
I forgot that those tags exist on MP3 files.
And so, yes, we will try to do that better in the future. But they also say, regarding Emberleaf and indeed the Old King's Crown, do you, especially Efka, who said something that suggested this to me, find you sometimes fall through a complex game's theme and play it as pure mechanics? I did this back in the 1980s with Battletech and found that while I was winning games much more, I was enjoying them rather less.
Yeah, I do it all the time. I have to catch myself like that, oh wait, no, this is about something, and though with the Old King's Crown, it's especially like it feels like the game is pulling like in two directions, and I'm yet to meet that sort of thematic satisfactory middle, because the artwork is so bombastic, right? And so striking and rich and colorful, full of ideas. It's very, very good, right? And the gameplay is so, intricate and nifty, and it wants you. You're not gonna quite get it on your first play. There's little things to notice about, kind of the flow of the game and what's good and what's, how to manipulate it better, because there's so much information. There's so many different kingdom cards. There's the symmetries of each faction. There's a lot to grok, right? And so whilst you're kind of trying to come to terms with one of those things, your brain doesn't necessarily, or my brain at least, doesn't necessarily have, always the bandwidth for the other. But yeah, so sometimes theme has to take a back seat for me, definitely, just so I can kind of like process everything. But then when I feel like more comfortable behind the wheel, like I can kind of relax a little bit and just, appreciate some of the scenery that's going past me as I drive this metaphorical car.
Very nice.
Thank
Very
you.
Nice. Thank you for your questions. We had loads. After I said, we don't get any questions for the podcast, everyone wrote in. So thank you so much. And we will get through them all, not in this episode, but in subsequent episodes. So thank you for that. And if you have anything else to say to us, please write to us, elaine@nopunincluded.com. Let's move on to the game, which is Colony Bloodbath.
When you say it like that, it makes it sound exciting.
Was it exciting, Efka?
I think so, yes.
It was weird.
It was a weird game, and I kind of enjoyed it. But there is a little caveat towards that enjoy that we're going to put a pin in and come back to in the end. So, in principle, I liked Colony Bloodbath. A very strange idea. Progressively degenerate game state, basically. You start on the moon colony, right? And you have like a very simple kind of deck of cards that all players share, and you draw from that random deck of cards, and it says what's going to happen. And if it says, like work time, you basically get to do
harvest
one of five actions. I think there's 5 actions, right? Yeah. You can choose to get some food. You can choose to get some money. You can choose to draw some cards into your hand because you build a tableau. You can play a card by paying some money, and then there's something else I can't remember. It's restock. It's an action that lets you put like basically cubes on your cards that you played in your tableau to power them up, then you can later spend for like various abilities or whatnot. Anyway, so 5 actions, right? Very simple. And everyone chooses the action that they want to do, and then they do it. But the predominant thing you're going to be wanting to do is you're going to be wanting to play cards, because cards make your actions better.
Well,
right?
they're your buildings on the moon.
Yeah,
you see.
right. Yeah, exactly. So like, for example, you want to take the action that gives you money, you get 4 money. You play this card, and suddenly you get 8 money with that action. That's much better, right?
That is a much more efficient action.
Right?
Yes.
So
yes.
you predominantly want to be playing these cards, but this game is called Colony Bloodbath.
Why the bloodbath? Is that what you're going to explain now?
Yeah, because the word cards are not the only cards that come out of that deck.
Dun, dun, dun.
Right? So there's this weird system where there's basically like bad stuff that's going to happen, right? And then whenever you draw this card, it says, oh, put the next bad thing into your deck. And then that bad thing goes on top of your deck and immediately resolves. So it's like when you draw that card, a bad thing is going to happen. But that bad thing stays in your deck. And then the next time you shuffle your deck and draw a card that says put the next bad thing, the previous bad thing is already there, but now there's another bad thing, right? And so you add these bad events, you add these robots which have gone doolally and are murdering everyone. And your predominant victory point economy is basically people, right?
That's what it's
like, and every card you play is generally worth some people. And if you have to lose people, which you will when the events happen, but also like the robots appear, they're gonna kill the people. And if you don't have people tokens, you have to sack the cards that you played.
So your actions become worse again.
Yeah, your actions become worse. So and like thematically, this is a very funny game, because basically what's happening is you're admin in charge of a moon colony, right? And rather than like going, yeah, we must stop the robots, you instead like sanction some tourist attractions so that more people come. And like you're basically just like feeding these robots people in a meat grinder.
Yeah.
And everything you do is just like, how do we get more people, rather than how do we stop these robots? So the verdict of the game is that like this doesn't stop. You're all eventually going to get slaughtered.
It's not just the robots that are killing people. You are because the events are certain things that will happen, like you're testing, like people are testing something and wait, no, they've died doing it. That's it. Like, you're trying to build up your colony, but because it's new and you don't know how things work, that's like thematically what is happening. You're sending people off to do various jobs and they're dying doing it.
I just think thematically this is a very absurd game. Like, there's a problem, right? What are we going to do about it? Throw more people at it. Just keep throwing people until the problem goes away. And the problem never goes away. Like, it just keeps getting worse and worse. Yeah, just loops. But what? Every loop it's worse, right? Because every loop you're adding more problems, right? The same problems keep reappearing, but then there's new problems as well. And there's only going to be more problems, and more people is never going to solve it. So this is fundamentally a farce, right?
I think so, yeah.
And you said, I'm going to quote you, Elaine, this is the worst artwork I have seen in any board game.
Oh, don't say that. No.
You've scrunched up your face like a lemon.
Don't say that.
But it's true.
I just did not like it at all. I didn't like the way the colours were put together. I didn't like the way people particularly were drawn. I didn't like how the buildings were drawn. I just didn't like any of it. It wasn't functionally bad, though. I will say that it isn't the worst artwork I've ever seen in a game, because it was functionally competent. Like, you knew what everything was and what everything did. The iconography was fine, blah, blah, blah. That was okay.
So remind me the artist's name again?
Franz Vorwinkel.
Right. So Franz, I looked this up, has done a lot of work in the board game industry, including titles like Clank and others.
Beyond the Sun. Not
Sure.
a space game.
Right. Yeah. Definitely knows
How to art.
How to art, right? Yeah, I think this is intentionally bad.
I think I agree.
Yeah, almost guaranteed that this is on purpose, very ridiculous artwork, comical, absurd, touching on preposterous, but like it's just so weird. It's so weird to look at. It's so jarring and in a way even off-putting, but I think this is deliberate.
I think you're right, because you can, like, what everything is. Like, it's competently drawn. I just didn't like the style of it, and that is a very different thing. I don't think it's necessarally
like
bad.
I don't think you're meant to like it.
Yeah, it's a choice, and I think it's done on purpose. I think you're right.
Which all makes for a very funny game, right? Like so gameplay wise, the way it feels is that you can never hold down a long-term strategy in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Buildings come, buildings go, right? Like they, like, oh, you've built something up, never mind, it just got nuked, like nothing stays on your board for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have some choice because, if you have 4 buildings and you just build a 5th one and you're like, hey, this building's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Something suddenly comes along, and goes, oh, well, you have 4 buildings again, but it's your choice which one you let go of. Right? It just means that you can never rely on like multi-card strategies.
Yeah.
So like if you go like, oh, I have like this card that gives me extra money, and then I have this card that lets me convert money into people or whatever, right? Like just don't get married to that because it's going to go away pretty soon.
And you can never rely, I was just going to say, and you can never rely on types of action strategies either, because again, those will go away. You will try and make them not go away, but they will. But the game is very generous in that if your card that you are getting rid of, so you've not got enough people in your on your moon base to discard them, and you discard a card. If the card is worth 10 people, but you only need to pay 5, you get the 5 change. The 5 people come back to your moon base to spend later on. And that is one of the most absurd bits, I think, that you're destroying this building, but only half the people in this building will get destroyed with the rest escape. I don't know what the kind of logic behind that is. I just found it very funny.
It is funny. It's funny, and it's very dynamic, obviously, because it's chaotic. It never lets you kind of sleep on it. You can't you always have to readjust, recalibrate, recalculate. But there for me is a big but, right?
Go on.
It's a funny joke the first time, right? Mm-hmm. I just don't know. Like, apart from being like a pretty novel concept, right? Like it feels to me like one of those Friedemann Fries designs that like where Friedemann Fries does something just because he can, right? Like I had this idea, right? Let's see how it works.
What to like make for 504 games in one?
Yeah. Like, except this is better than 504. Like, it's a game that feels like you can play it. But I don't think it has legs. I don't think it has legs. I think it's a joke. It's a funny joke. And I think it's a well-executed joke. It's like, like you watch stand-up, you go, oh, they landed that joke, and you might, like appreciate that joke the second, third, fourth time you hear it. Mm-hmm. But like after that, it's like, I've heard that joke now.
Yeah, but you're not supposed to go to a stand-up show 15 times in a row, are you?
No,
you
I
are
guess
supposed
not.
to play a ball game
I imagine
a few
some
times
people
in a
do.
row. Well,
like if you're a really big fan
then shout out the punchline before the comedian says
I'm just trying to think of a comedian that's okay to promote.
Bill
Lately,
Bailey.
less and less of them. I'm gonna go with Dylan Moran.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Not Bill Bailey.
I mean, probably. Yeah, I don't know.
I've entirely lost the thread of what we're saying. Oh no, yeah. I always appreciate what Friedemann Fries does because it's a bit like when Paul McCartney brings out albums. Sometimes you think this would not have made it if you were still in the Beatles. This would not have made a Beatles album. But you don't care. You're Paul McCartney. You're
doing your own thing.
Yeah, because you want to, and if people enjoy it, that's great. And if they don't, it doesn't matter. So I really appreciate when a designer, is in a position to.
Well, I loved fishing, right?
Yeah,
that was a Freedom and Free.
Yeah.
I don't. This is not a Freedom and Free thing, but we're talking about it as if it is. I don't know why.
No, I just wanted to.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is a really weird game. I don't know, like you say, how many times I would want to play this, but I did have fun playing it. And I guess
none for me. Like I've experienced it.
You're done?
Yeah, I'm done. Like I played it, I was like, that was cool, and not like in a kind of, oh, whatever, this was fine way, and more like, no, this was really cool. I think this is a neat idea. This is clever. I appreciate that this exists. I like it, but I just don't need to play it anymore.
I'm not sure I like the theme of it. Is that weird to say? Because I think everything about it that was a conscious choice, like the theme of it, the farcical nature of it, the artwork. I just didn't like it. And that's not on the game, that's on me. Right? It's just not for me. I think, like you said, it was fun to play, but it just wasn't for me. One thing that I couldn't decide whether it was really smart or I hated it was the perks cards. So as an option, you can put in perks cards into this deck that keeps cycling round, and they are cards that are yours, and they will only do a thing for you, and you can choose which perk card that you put in. So maybe it will be a perk card that says +2 food. So whenever that card is flipped over, you only will get 2 food,
which is the only time that happens. Otherwise everyone does the thing.
Exactly. And so it's a puzzle of thinking, well, which of these do I put in first or second or third? Like, do I put the one that gives me extra money or food or whatever? And I thought, is that a fun puzzle? But then I thought, but I don't really know what I need because my buildings are going to go away and come again, and I can't do a strategy around it.
It's funny, right?
It's funny. I think it was just not for me.
Yeah.
I think not being able to build that strategy up, not being able to build that tableau up, because it does say, like, it's not as if I went into it not knowing. It says it's a tableau destroying game.
Yeah, that's the inherent tension that the game is trying to challenge, right? Like,
exactly.
You don't get to build up, right?
Exactly.
Live with it, right? Elaine's answer is, I don't want to.
No, I don't want a game that even though I know the rug is going to be pulled out under my feet, I still don't enjoy it when I fall on my knees and, smash my nose on the ground. Is
this like watching cringe comedy? Where some people...
Maybe a little bit, which I'm not a fan of either. Yeah, maybe a little bit. It's just not something that, vibes with me well.
Yeah, I get that. So that's Mmmmm Colony Bloodbath. A fun time. I recommend playing it if you have a chance. I definitely do. I'm not sure I recommend seeking this one out unless you really, really love, like, just gnarly artwork, which I do. So, and still I'm not going to keep playing it. So it's fine. It's good. I like it. Just don't buy it. Play it.
And that is the game of this episode. Thank you so, so much for listening. And with that, why don't you say goodbye, Efka?
Goodbye, Efka.
Goodbye, Efka.